Morning, everybody. I'm just gonna wait for people to get in
Yeah.
here. Hopefully, everyone has a coffee.
Simon is sporting his new coffee machine coffee
Yeah.
today. We've got nothing. Oh, there are 27 people. Awesome.
Wow.
Check it out. Great. I see some repeat webinars in here.
Hey.
Yes. Let's see. We've got Mary's in here. Recognize Mary. Lori was the winner of the Dymo label printer last time.
Hey, welcome. Maybe you won again today.
Yeah. Let's see. Morning. Oh, Sean. Hey, Sean. Morning. Good morning, everyone.
Sean.
Oh, we got Phil. Where's everybody live from today? I don't know if everyone knows, but we're based in Toronto. Morning.
Singapore. Helen, hey.
Really cool. Very cool. What time is it in Singapore, Helen? Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Chi-Town, India. Wow.
Chicago, Virginia. Wow.
Connecticut. Oh, we got two from Virginia.
Hey, Steph and Kim.
Cool. Atlanta, nice.
Hey, Mary.
Oh, Bianca from Dubai.
Connecticut.
The weather there is
Atlanta.
super hot right now. Whoa.
Awesome. Everyone just woke up. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we can get started here then. I guess intros are in order. So my name is Simon. I'm one of your favorite support people. If you ever had a bad support session, then my name is Phil. We have Tameem here. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Tameem. You may recognize me from some of the other webinars. I'm just the manager of the community and support team. We call ourselves CSI team at inFlow. So nice to see you guys.
Thank you for that. So yeah, we also have Phil in the background here. He's going to be our moderator for the day. That's him there. And we'll just leave him in the background. Yes, thank you, Phil, for being here as well. Today, we're actually going to be talking about customizations. And basically, we're going to be talking about 5 subjects. But before we get into that, I want to do a little bit more of an introductions first. I'm not a big fan of introducing myself. So what we're planning to do is I'll tell you a little bit about Tameem, and she'll tell you a little bit about myself.
The dangerous game.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Tameem is basically our master negotiator. We actually do conferences once a year before this whole COVID thing started. And I remember we booked a hotel and then we had everything set for 3 person per room. But then after when we got there, the hotel was saying, no, you can't do that because of the fire regulation and all that stuff. And then they wanted to charge us more. So we paid for the charge up front first and like, okay, whatever. And then Tameem went downstairs for 20 minutes and then got them to reverse all the charges and got us set up in the rooms and we were all set and got it all reversed. So yeah, if you ever need to do any deals, ask Tameem.
I was just going to say the exact same thing about Simon, so he stole my intro. Simon's actually the one who got us discounted conference tickets for that conference. So also, if you ever need anything, just send us a ticket to support and reference Simon. But Simon, too, is a wearer of many hats. We have very different versions of Simon. We have CSI Simon, is the inFlow Simon. Chef Simon. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Simon makes a mean dish. They look amazing. Firefighter Simon. Simon used to be a firefighter. So that's pretty cool. We've got personal trainer Simon. Simon does a session for the our company once a week on Tuesdays to keep us fit while we're working from home. We have IT guy Simon. He fixes everything that we break, and we break everything. Choir Simon, very artistic Simon. Guys, Simon, if you need anything, you just call Simon. Simon knows his stuff on pretty much everything. So a little bit about Simon. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think you're also talking a little bit about the raffle we're going to have at the end.
Awesome. So I don't know if you guys know, but we are having a giveaway for this webinar as well. It is a free month off of your cloud subscription. If you are here as an on-premise user, we'll talk to you, and you win, we'll talk to you after and give you an equivalent of a gift card. So really cool. Might as well get a free month. To participate, just leave your name in the chat box. Just introduce yourself, say hi, and maybe something like a fun fact or fun little tidbit, or where you're from, something fun. So that's how you enter. Just make sure that you have put something in the chat. And Phil, our lovely moderator and other CSI agent, will be taking note of everybody who leaves their comment in chat, and that's how you register. And we'll pick somebody by random at the end of the webinar. So don't leave, because you get a free month. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess starting off, my fun little tidbit. I was just looking stuff online like everyone else, watching a lot of videos. I came across a really fun term, the Mandela effect. I'm not sure if anyone has heard that. Basically, it's a term coined by a paranormal consultant. I think it was back in 2010, where there was a shared false memory phenomenon. I guess the one example that I have would be everyone that's watched E.T. There's like a famous line that everyone remembers, E.T. phone home. The actual line in the movie, the first one that he says, is actually E.T. home phone. And that's actually like, yeah. When I read that, I was like, whoa. And yeah, you can Google that later for sure. The other big one that is probably the most used one is the famous Star Wars line where it says, "Luke, I am your father," which is actually not the correct line.
Wow.
The line actually goes, "No, I am your father," because it was actually a preposition for a sentence that Luke was asking.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if anybody else's life just changed, but my whole life changed. Oh, that's pretty cool.
All right. So now that I have your minds blown, let's get right into it.
Those minds. Awesome.
All right.
Oh so help from Toronto. Just a shout out. Ooh, Toronto. There we go. Kelly. Cool.
Awesome. All right. So here are the 5 topics we're going to cover today. Setting up your logos, company information, print styles. I'll let you guys read that list. Basically, here we're going to be covering all these topics. But you might be wondering how we're going to cover the topics. Well, what I was thinking is instead of going through each little bit as its own little segment, I'm just going to create a scenario and we'll run through it. And basically, we'll touch on everything that is on this list. And here is our scenario. So we're going to be, basically, we're going to have Darth Vader's logistic manager. We'll just call him Phil. And he wants to be able to track items supplied for the different jobs around the Death Star. So this is the building of the Death Star. Hello.
Wait, are we live? On air, there it is.
Oh, okay. Now hello.
Yeah.
Morning, everybody. I'm just going to wait for people to get in here. Hopefully everyone has a coffee.
Simon is sporting his new coffee machine coffee.
Yeah.
Good day. We've got nothing. Oh, there are 27 people. Awesome.
Wow.
Check it out. Great. I see some repeat webinars in here.
Hey.
Yes. Let's see. We've got Mary's in here. Recognize Mary. Lori was the winner of the Dymo label printer last time.
Hey, welcome. Maybe you won again today.
Yeah. Let's see. Morning. Oh, Sean. Hey, Sean. Morning. Good morning, everyone.
Sean.
Oh, we got Phil. Where's everybody live from today? I don't know if everyone knows, but we're based in Toronto. Good morning.
Singapore. Helen, hey.
Very cool. Very cool. What time is it in Singapore, Helen? Thank you for joining.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Chi-Town, India. Wow.
Chicago, Virginia. Wow.
Connecticut. Oh, we got two from Virginia.
Hey, Steph and Kim.
Cool. Atlanta, nice.
Hey, Mary.
Oh, Bianca from Dubai.
Connecticut.
The weather there is
Atlanta.
super hot right now. Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Awesome.
whoa.
Everyone just woke up. All right.
Yeah.
I guess we can get started here then. I guess intros are in order. So my name is Simon. I'm one of your favorite support people. If you ever had a bad support session, then my name is Phil. We have Tameem here. I'll let her introduce herself.
Hey guys, I'm Tameem. You may have recognized me from some of the other webinars. I'm just the manager of the community and support team. We call ourselves CSI team at inFlow. So nice to see you guys.
Thank you for that. So yeah, we also have Phil in the background here. He's going to be our moderator for the day. That's him there. And we'll just leave him in the background. Yes, thank you, Phil, for being here as well. Today, we're actually going to be talking about customizations. And basically, we're going to be talking about 5 subjects. But before we get into that, I want to do a little bit more of an introductions first. I'm not a big fan of introducing myself. So what we're planning to do is I'll tell you a little bit about Tameem, and she'll tell you a little bit about myself.
The dangerous game.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Tameem is basically our master negotiator. We actually do conferences once a year before this whole COVID thing started. And I remember we booked a hotel and then we had everything set for 3 person per room. But then after when we got there, the hotel was saying, no, you can't do that because of the fire regulation and all that stuff. And then they wanted to charge us more. So we paid for the charge up front first and like, okay, whatever. And then Tameem went downstairs for 20 minutes and then got them to reverse all the charges and got us set up in the rooms and we were all set and then got it all reversed. So yeah, if you ever need to do any deals, ask Tameem.
I was just going to say the exact same thing about Simon, so he stole my intro. Simon's actually the one who got us discounted conference tickets for that conference. So also, you know, if you ever need anything, just send us a ticket to support and reference Simon. But Simon, too, is a wearer of many hats. We have very different versions of Simon. We have CSI Simon, is the inFlow Simon. Chef Simon. Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Simon makes a mean dish. They look like amazing. Firefighter Simon. Simon used to be a firefighter. So that's pretty cool. We've got personal trainer Simon. Simon does a session for the class, our company week on Tuesdays to keep us fit while we're working from home. We have IT guy Simon. He fixes everything that we break, and we break everything. Choir Simon. Very artistic Simon. Guys, Simon, if you need anything, you just call Simon. Simon knows his stuff on pretty much everything. So a little bit about Simon. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I think you're also talking a little bit about the raffle we're going to have at the end.
Awesome. So I don't know if you guys know, but we are having a giveaway for this webinar as well. It is a free month off of your cloud subscription. If you are here as an on-premise user, we'll talk to you, and you win, we'll talk to you after and give you an equivalent of a gift card. So really cool. Might as well get a free month. To participate, just leave your name in the chat box. Just introduce yourself, say hi, and maybe something like a fun fact or fun little tidbit, or you know where you're from, something fun. So that's how you enter. Just make sure that you have put something in the chat. And Phil, our lovely moderator and other CSI agent, we'll be taking note of everybody who leaves their comment in chat, and that's how you register. And we'll pick somebody by random at the end of the webinar. So don't leave, because it's free month. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, so I guess starting off, my fun little tidbit. I was just looking stuff online like everyone else, you know, watching a lot of videos. I came across a really fun term, the Mandela effect. I'm not sure if anyone has heard that. Basically, it's a term coined by a paranormal consultant. I think it was back in 2010, where there was a shared false memory phenomenon. I guess the one example that I have would be everyone that's watched E.T. There's like a famous line that everyone remembers, E.T. phone home. The actual line in the movie, the first one that he says, is actually E.T. home phone. And that's actually like, yeah. When I read that, I was like, whoa. And yeah, you can Google that later for sure. The other big one that is probably the most used one is the famous Star Wars line where it says, Luke, I am your father, which is actually not the correct line.
Wow.
The line actually goes, no, I am your father, because it was actually a preposition for a sentence that Luke was asking.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if anybody else's life just changed, but my whole life. Oh, that's pretty cool.
All right. So now that I have your minds blown, let's get right into it.
Those minds. Awesome.
All right.
So help from Toronto. Just a shout out. Ooh, Toronto. There we go. Kelly. Cool.
Awesome. All right. So here are the 5 topics we're going to cover today. Setting up your logos, company information, print styles. I'll let you guys read that list. Basically, here we're going to be covering all these topics. But you might be wondering how we're going to cover the topics. Well, what I was thinking is instead of going through each little bit as its own little segment, I'm just going to create a scenario and we'll run through it. And basically, we'll touch on everything that is on this list. And here is our scenario. So we're going to be, basically, we're going to have Darth Vader's logistic manager. We'll just call him Phil. And he wants to be able to track items supplied for the different jobs around the Death Star. So this is the building of the Death Star. And just basically how things are being used, assigned, and whatnot. And yeah, let's get into it. The first thing is setting up the logo and the company information. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pull up the inFlow cloud. Whoops. Okay, let's exit that one. All right.
So let us know too in the chats if you guys have your logo set up or what stage of the customization phase you're in.
If you guys were wondering, that is part of Star Wars universe. All right, so we have here the inFlow cloud. To actually put in a logo, this is actually the one for the Windows app, just because it's a little more flexible. I'm going to go through it from the Windows app. But from here, this 3 little hamburger bar is actually called the menu. And then you go down to options and into print settings. I was going through this a lot yesterday, so I was going through a lot of options. But yeah, right here in print settings, you can actually see the general tab. And then under here is the logo. From here, you'd actually want to have something created, so your own company logo. I actually had a few made beforehand. So we have all these, don't mind the Death Star plans. But yes, basically you can just have something set and then you just browse it from the actual area. And I have it on my desktop under webinar. And put it right in, and it'll actually convert the size to fit wherever you're putting it in. So when you actually put in a logo, it converts into like a small, medium, large format. And the actual formats for the logo file has to be JPEG, JPG, PNG, or BMP formats. And that's how it actually works with the logo. We've had some people complain that sometimes it's a little too big or a little too small during the import phase. What we ask is you can actually format the logo to be like a bigger or smaller pixel size. We try to keep it in around like 500, 600, 700 pixel dimensions. Something that you can do to actually scale it very easily. This is just a built-in thing inside most of the Windows computers. So I'm just going to open this real quick. And here's my logo. There's 3 little buttons here. If you click on the resize button, you can actually resize the image to whatever you need. So they actually have recommendations on how best to put it in. This is a Windows feature. But yeah, if you want to customize the dimension to keep the logo size the same, you can actually just resize it here. So you can make it like a little bigger and it'll just change the number for you. And then you can resize and then you just resave the copy. I'll do it like bigger. And then basically it scales the image up for you. I can make it look a little bit more bigger. Although I gotta warn you, if you do scale it like too big, you lose some of the quality of the actual image. Alrighty. So yeah, you can see like the quality is a little bit more foggy because it's bigger, but you kind of get the general idea. Other than that, we can fill in some of the information. So to actually, this whole part here comes up when you're doing invoices and like sales orders and like purchase orders. Basically, in our scenario, Phil wants to make an impression on people that's going to take out equipment from the empire. So we just fill in some of this information. So company name, let's name it Phil's Last Hope. And then we'll do something like the address will be on planet Mustafar. And the actual location is actually called Fortress Vader.
All the Star Wars fans must be loving this webinar.
It was also May the 4th yesterday, so
yes,
kind of appropriate, I think.
well done.
All right, so now that we have this stuff in, before I save and close, we can actually choose different templates. So if I wanted the color scheme to go along with how we have the logo set up so far, we can actually go down to the templates tab, and we have 3 built-in ones. These are the ones that we just have in the system, modern, classic, clean. The modern and classic one has an empty space in the middle here that allows you to put in your logo. The clean one, unfortunately, doesn't actually have the space there. You can do it through a custom doc that we'll talk about later. But for today, we're just going to stick with the modern one, and then we can just adjust. Let's say we don't want to use the regular font. We can choose something fun, I don't know, Century. And then we want to make the color scheme match our little logo. So we can actually choose Empire Red. And then we'll just do a little preview.
Can you make the screen bigger by chance, Simon?
Like that big?
Perfect.
Awesome. Okay. So yeah, you can see how it would come up in an invoice. And I think we're happy with that. So we will save and close. Actually, there's one other thing we might want to add. So if you have anything like signature that you want to add, or just like a little warning, in our case, Phil wants to make sure they know that people from the Empire are watching them. So we add a little footer for all our notes. So maybe we could put something like Force is watching. And we'll just do a little period. And that just kind of adds a little note at the end of it. I'll show you a little example real quick.
And that's to, Simon, if people want to put a signature, that's where they would put the...
Yeah, you can definitely do the signature as well, but I'll show you first where it is and then how you can actually do it, a signature. So it's just right there in the middle, forces watching, and it'll just end up on any kind of sales quotes, sales invoices, sales orders. If you're gonna do like a signature thing, it's kind of like a customized thing, so you could just change it to signature and then do something like blah 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 blah. And here you can see like signature will pop up there.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, let's put that warning message back. Course is that's Phil wants to make sure everyone knows that he means business. Okay. All right. So that's basically the first few little tidbits. Let's go back to that presentation that I had.
Perfect. And we do have a few questions coming from Helen and Merlin. These will, read the questions out loud. Will it be possible to insert that on each line item of the invoice? And from Helen is how to add a QR code or another image on the invoice. So I believe we'll kind of get to the customization of the actual invoices a little bit later. Is that right, Simon?
Yeah, for sure.
Cool.
So yeah, customization on the actual invoices to a custom doc is going to be in a couple more sections. We will definitely address those.
And shout out to Deepa, who just watched Star Wars series as well. So
nice.
We have at least one Star Wars fan on here.
Whew, okay. All right, so let's get back into it. So just to recap the scenario, now that we have everything set up, we still want to set up the teams. In our scenario, we'll make sure to have platoons assigned to work on part of the outer hull of the Death Star. And what we'll be doing is we'll give them some initial setup tools and equipments to take to each section of the Death Star to put it up. And switching back over to the inFlow cloud, what I've done here is I've actually created a few products ahead of time, so we don't have to waste that. This is just like general stuff that they're going to use to start. In the description, I just put a little note for our logistic manager, Phil, to know like how many pieces each platoon gets. And we even set up our platoons in the customer list. Myself has a platoon, and Tameem has a platoon as well. Consists of 1 captain, 20 clone engineers, and 10 astro droids, just to get the work rolling.
No big deal.
So we're just going to move into the customizing inFlow part, basically showing you how to use custom fields, renaming the fields, and maybe customizing the tables to show you how we can actually make it work for what we want to do with inFlow. To start with, since we have the 2 platoons here, we might want to actually add information to maybe say where they're going to be working on in the Death Star, so Phil would know at a glance when the list gets bigger where each platoon is assigned. So what we can do is, since we don't actually have a built-in field, we have a little add custom field here for the section. We can actually do that. And it'll bring you into the settings directly, into the custom field section. You can actually add custom fields in all 4 areas of inFlow, in the inventory section, adjustments, sales, and purchasing, and each one has their own little either main tab, extra tab, work order tab, etc. So what we want to do is actually just add a note for the main tab. And we'll say maybe we want to put in job area. And this kind of just creates that little field here. We'll see in a second, and I'll just add it. Then we'll put we'll work on the northeast area. Star is actually pretty big, so we'll just assign a quadrant to them. So I'll take quadrant 1, and then we'll save. And then Tameem can take quadrant 2, same area.
It's the quadrant I wanted. Perfect.
Exactly. And then we'll just save there. All right, so that's actually how you do custom info. Going forward, if you're thinking, yeah, this weird customer doesn't really make sense for what we're doing in this case, you can actually rename these fields for the Windows app. If you actually go into menu, options, settings, there's a little rename fields here. With inFlow Cloud, you actually just have to search up the term. So we're looking for customer, and of course, there's a lot of customer areas, but the best way is just to try one out and then see if it changes anything. Or like if you want to rename all of them, you can actually just replace the text on all the fields, and then anytime customer comes up, it actually says something else. So in our case, we want to say maybe we're doing like a platoon assignment. And then I'll just quickly copy that to the multiple fields. So if there's any other customers, customer.
So just curious if anybody's been using these custom field hacks, because I think this is one of the coolest nifty things on inFlow, so you can make it kind of match your business. And actually a lot of people use it to change the language. So so they can change the fields on almost everything by just coming in here and changing the text and putting whatever language they'd like.
Yeah, that's a really great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we also have a couple of built-in languages, but yeah, if you have your language files, you're free to just change that to whatever you guys need to. So you can see at top here, it actually changed. If we pull up the main homepage, you can actually see that it actually changed to show platoon assignments. Now we can actually also change these ones here by going to the same thing. Best way to do that is go back to the same area, look for the text itself. So new customer, we can do new platoon assignment, and then something like customer list, be platoon assignment list. And voila, almost like magic.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's just another little trick. So now after we've actually done all this, in our case, the way we're going to assign the materials to our 2 platoons is we're going to do it through a sales order. What I've done ahead of time is actually create a sales quote. So anytime a new platoon comes into the mix and wants to start working on the outer hull, we have a little kind of cheat sheet to get started. So normally by default, quotes are actually hidden and only orders are shown. To add this little field here, what I did was I actually added a new filter, which you can see. I'll just add another line. We don't need this one though. And then I change the actual filter area to show quotes. And instead of just seeing the orders, I can see both orders or just the quotes if I want to. And here's the one I actually created ahead of time. It basically just matches the initial inventory to start off. So I assigned 10 to each, and then 1,000 of the quadrium steel, which is actually the material building the outer hull of the Death Star. I also made a little bit of instructions here for anyone new to the program to how you actually assign it to the platoon. So what we do is we'll just make a copy of this, turn it into its own order, and then assign it to one of our platoons. We'll give this one to Tameem first.
Great, another to-do on my list today.
Exactly.
Great.
We're gonna delete the notes, and we'll save it, and we're gonna just turn it into an order. So this way, it'll track the quantity once we actually, since this item's gonna be shipped, and we know we're assigning it to Tameem's platoon, once we hit the fulfill button, you'll see that it actually does the whole process of picking, shipping. So basically, her platoon is assigned all these equipments already. And with that, another thing I did want to add that will come back into play later is, since this is just like an overview of what they have, we can also add the same custom field here, just to actually have a first glance look. So if anyone's actually just looking through the sales order, they can see where that platoon's materials went as well. So quickly, there's no quick add button here. Excuse me. There's no quick add button here, but you can actually go to the custom fields area by going to menu, options, settings. And then in the settings area, it's just the custom fields tab. And then I want to do it for a sales order. And this here was actually the platoon assignment area, so the customer area. This down here is the sales order area. So we'll just do another area here. And this print here is just if you want to show it up on invoices and sales orders. So if you don't have this checked off, it won't show up in those invoices. If you do, it'll show up. We want to actually see where she's going with all this stuff. So we did put, what was it? Northeast area and her favorite quadrant, number 2.
Remember.
And then we just save that again, and basically we have that set up. Okay. Okay, so the next thing I want to touch on is what if each captain, in this case, Captain Tameem, wants to keep a list of things that she has just on hand and maybe keep it in her pocket and make sure that she knows what's coming with there. We have a handy dandy print function where she can actually print this stuff out. So we don't really need the subtotals and whatnot for like the sales order. We just want to like the pick list to have a list of where things came from and how much we have of it. So we can use something like this, but the description isn't really doing much for us just because it's kind of fills information section. So if we want to remove this part of the table, fun enough is since we're doing the pick list, this whole area here is just one giant table, and you can actually change how big it shows by dragging. It's an invisible table, but you can actually drag it, and then if you drag it till it's gone, it'll actually disappear from the print area. So if we pull that up again, and we only did it for the pick list area, and now it's just gone from the print area.
Yes. So everyone asks. We do get that question a lot. How do you hide a field? You're not technically hiding the field this way, but it gets the job done, and then you can kind of unhide and hide so that you can see it again on your screen at least.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's a fun. I really like that hack too. A lot of hacks I like today.
Something also with that, if you're gonna do that for every new order, so if I want to do it for the next platoon, which would be my platoon, you can actually save the column proportions. All you have to do is right-click on the table up here and then save it. So any new pick list that we create, it'll actually have the same kind of proportions. So you can see this is a new one, and then if you go into the pick list, it'll show the same way. If you mess around with it too much and you're not sure what you did, you can actually clear it, and then it'll actually go back to the way it was. In most cases. Let's see. Okay, so. And yeah, it's the same for the main page as well. Normally it will do that. I believe in the new ones. So we'll save that. Or you'll just drag it back. And save. All right, so with the sales area, obviously there's more different printouts that you can save them in. So if you're gonna save your proportions, just make sure you go to each one and save it to the way you like it. All right.
So these are, I'm curious if anybody knows these little, because these are little tips and tricks. They're a bit hidden, so you don't really get to know these kinds of things without kind of digging around. But right-clicking, there's so many different things. You just right-click a random place in inFlow, you're probably like, oh, there's some actions I can do because I just right-click the table or the filters. I can add when in doubt, just try to right-click.
Exactly. Yeah.
See actions pop up.
Awesome. I think the next section here, we will just see if there's any other questions about what we covered so far. The custom doc stuff we are going to get to. I promise you that.
So we have a few questions. Some are custom doc related, but I'll just say them out loud so you know that we've seen them. And Phil's been awesome. He's been responding to them. So we have one from Slobodan. I hope I pronounced that right. Are you planning to create some custom fields as a drop-down list? Phil's already replied, but I'll say it out loud again. We are recording this, so for replays, you will have the answers. Phil has let him know that it's definitely something people requested. We're not ruling it out, adding something like that in the future. So we're going to add that to our product request form. And as a follow-up, also, Slobodan asked if we can at least make the custom fields expandable because they use it as an item description in another language. So adding the character length of those fields. So we've also made note of that as well. That's a great point.
Yeah, really good features, requests. Basically, the more you bug us about it, the more likely it'll happen. So yeah, definitely keep bugging us about it.
Just make sure you reference Simon when you bug.
Phil. Phil's a good one.
Phil can't actually talk right now. Wait, set up. So
yeah, it's not fair. He can't really defend himself.
Yeah, he can't defend himself. We do have a few more questions as well. We have from Lupita and Sarah. I think both we'll probably get to in the custom fields, but just so we know, Lupita is asking if we can add more than 3 boxes to print, or is it only 3 boxes is allowed? So yeah, Phil also kind of mentioned it's the 3 custom fields can be added or printable. Although when we get to the custom documents section, you can print all of them into the custom docs section. You can add all your custom fields in there. And then Sarah as well, would it be possible to add more custom fields within the purchase order?
Everything is possible.
Everything is possible. Yeah, so, and then, yes, there's the possibility for that to come in the future if you're looking for more than 3 custom fields in the purchase order. So, yeah.
We definitely will take note of these, and then we'll poke our dev team to see what they can do.
Yes.
All right. We will address some of the custom doc stuff in a little bit, but I did want to quickly plug our Facebook community page. If you guys weren't aware, we actually started a new page maybe about a month or so back. And I think last week we had our first Q&A session hosted by Tameem, Kassan, and Matt. And basically it's a drop-in session where you can ask your questions, have a little fun chatting with them. They are really great to talk to, and they know their stuff. Basically, it happens opposite of the webinar week. All you have to do is search the inFlow inventory community on Facebook, and then you should see like a past recording or when new recordings or live sessions come out.
Yeah, and we'll it's pretty cool too because we're going to start talking about the features we released that week. So it's just a good way to keep on top. Like there's a lot of little tiny things that we might release or fix our developers. So it's also an opportunity for us to just share you like, this is what happened this week. Here's what you can do now. So I think there's the first one, there's a lot of people who didn't know certain things are fixed or there's new features. So also a cool way to stay in touch with that. Yeah.
I think David also has a question here. Is there any roadmap for ad hoc reporting or customer reporting? So right now, the built-in ones are the ones available. They are hard-coded into the system. If you ask the team, we can always try to see if we can do it for you. I know Phil himself was actually working on something along the lines of getting information that is needed in like a custom reporting format. That project is still kind of in the works, but always reach out and ask us questions and maybe tell us to report exactly what you need and whatnot, and we'll see what we can do. And if not, we pass the feature request on to our team, and hopefully they'll be able to add it in the future sometime for you.
And we've made a note of your email as well, David. So
Yep.
Phil's listening. I'm sure he'll reach out after this to get work.
All right, so I guess let's move on with our little example. What you guys have been waiting for, custom docs.
Yeah.
So basically in our example, right now we have everything set up for the logos on how it looks. The platoon's gotten their stuff. But what we have to do is we want to create some kind of load sheet. So the actual Imperial cargo shuttle, called the Zeta class cargo, holds, we'll say, about 600,000 pounds of items. And we want to make sure that the stuff that we're loading on there isn't going to exceed that amount. And we don't have any kind of built-in custom doc, regular document to actually show the weights and whatnot. So we can actually create our own little custom doc for, we'll call it the bill of lading, just because a lot of people has been asking for it. So I'm just going to switch over. And quickly, what I've done first is in our product list here, we do have a section where you can add extra info for each product. So we'll say like, we're going to use pounds today, like the weight for each one, we can just enter it quickly and go grind up 4 pounds. And I've actually done this ahead of time, so we don't have to go through each one. And to actually change the unit of measure for this extra info area, you can actually do that from the menu, options, settings, going into the company tab. If you scroll down, you'll see the measurement units. So for the weights, I actually chose pounds. I think it defaults to metric grams, but since we're dealing with a lot of weights with the Star Wars materials, we'll go Canadian pounds. Yeah. And length and stuff, we're just going to leave as default for now. We save and close. And basically, anything here, you just type in the number and it'll add the unit for you. You just save. Now, to actually get a custom doc, we have to create basically a Microsoft Word document and then kind of start modifying it from there. And if you guys remember, we actually kind of changed the template a little bit at the beginning. So we want to use the same kind of color scheme. So what I recommend is we can do something like, we'll just use what we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll just use something like this, and then we'll save as a Microsoft Word file. And I'm going to find my webinar folder. And we'll just do, so I've done a few copies already before this, but we'll just say. And we save that document there. And we'll go into it. And it's opening up on my other screen, so bear with me.
And again, we are recording this, so we will send out the replay later, because I know we do get a lot of questions on custom docs, and it's probably easier if you're ready to hear yourself to follow along and go step by step. So rest assured, we will send this out.
So here we have actually just a document we pulled from the inFlow cloud, just from our sales order. But what we want to do is we want to create a template for this. What we want to start with is something called the mail merge. It allows this Word doc to be able to pull fields from inFlow itself to be able to populate the fields as we do it for different orders. And how we go about doing that is basically going from the mailing tab. We're going to start the mail merge. And then we're going to look under directories. And then we can select the recipient, so where the list is coming from for the directories. And we're going to use an existing list just because we have inFlow Cloud's existing list. And then it'll start something like this. You're going to want to go under your users. And what was it? Yeah, so you go into your default users. So for me, it's just under Simon, app data, and then local. Then you're going to look for inFlow Cloud. So inFlow Cloud will be here. And then since inFlow Cloud updates regularly, you're going to want to use the newest version it's on. If you're not sure, you can just expand this and see when it was modified and you choose the later date one. And then you see a little custom doc folder. And these are the ones that are kind of like pre-put in, so you can actually merge with the fields. We're doing a sales order one, so we want the sales order fields. So we're going to use this sample sales order. And when we load it like that, you're going to see the insert merge field will light up, and then you'll see the fields that it can actually pull from. Pretty great, right? What we're going to do now is basically what you see here is a table at the bottom. At the top are just the names. So we can leave the names alone for right now. For each section, we can actually, instead of having the name there, we can actually do it where it pulls item names. So we go down the list, and then we'll put in our little field. And then you can see.
So one thing to note, it's not easy working in Word, in Mailbird, a lot of formatting, but the good thing is once you set it up, you have it set. So
yeah, I totally forgot to mention, just because this is actually using the Microsoft Word and the tediousness of it, our team doesn't really support this fully, and we're not like experts with Microsoft Word. Basically, everything I'll show you today is what we'll know. But it's more just getting all the fields right into the sections that you want and having these set. So you can't just type item name in with these brackets. You actually have to insert the merge because this actually allows it to tie to our program. So we can go all the way along with these. It'll be the same for description, quantity, unit price. When you get to the end for something like subtotal, if you wanted to go to a different line, so let's just add that one in first. Sub total. Boop, boop. Basically, getting to the end of the table, if it's trying to look for a next line, it actually won't do that if you don't have a rule here that tells the program to, hey, look for our next line item on the same page. What it'll do, the next actual row, it'll put it on a new page. So what we have to do at the end of the column is we have to actually add a rule. The rules.
Really quickly, can you just zoom in a little bit in Word?
Sure.
A little bit. See.
View.
Yeah. Whoa.
Too much?
You. No, that's great for my old eyes.
No, perfect.
Thanks.
So what we want to do, going back to it, we have here the rules. And what we want to do is next record if. And what this is saying is we're going to do a next record if on the same page. And we'll do something with the item since we're actually loading up the items. So item names when it is not blank. So this is basically saying, hey, look for the next item if there is one in the actual record in inFlow. And then we'll add the line here. And it's in the same line. So this here, it doesn't matter too much if these show up large or not. The records, basically. The item ones, you actually wanted to show the size that you wanted to see. This one here is just a rule, so it actually doesn't appear in the documents. But we can actually minimize it to actually not show too much and ruin the spacing. So like I just minimize that very small so it doesn't throw off the spacing for the next line. So as you can see, it'll be pretty tedious work, but you just go on to the next line and we go add more references. The question that someone was asking of putting in, was it the image? Sorry, Tameem, I don't.
Yeah. We have a few here. So one was, let's see, we're going to scroll down. I believe there was one from Helen. Right here. Okay. Oh, for first one from Merlin was possible to insert VAT on each line item of the invoice, and the second was a QR code or another image on the invoice from Helen.
So let's see if that actually, not 100% sure.
So when in doubt, you just always go into the insert merge field, and pretty much that's what you're allowed to.
Yeah, that's our master list of stuff. Any other stuff that's not existing on this list, you can always make the feature request, because we have had our developers add it over the years, so the list does grow over time. With that, I don't see it here. Not sure if you saw it there, Tameem.
I was unable to see it in there, but for VAT, I guess it would be tax.
Yeah, it'll be.
Are you looking for VAT or the image?
The VAT one first, I guess. So yeah, I guess we call it something else in our program. It would be tax, depending on how you have it set up. Before tax, tax inclusive.
There's no other tax in there. Let's see.
Currency exchange rate. Oh, this is the tax code.
So as you can see, it's not the most simple process, which is why we don't support it fully. But
yeah. So if the option is here, you should be able to do it. It's more about just setting up the process and testing out the different polls. With the image itself, the QR code isn't able to be pulled in here unless you have a specific QR code for the same image. So this logo here, I actually pulled in from that little document I did ahead of time. It's just so that any document that comes in will show this one image. Just to match what we did in the program already for all the other invoices. But basically, this one won't actually change to anything else. So if you have different QR codes for each line item, you're not able to actually pull in different QR codes every time you generate something. It's just not something we've done. But
you can do barcodes if you're willing to change your system using barcodes. You can put barcodes in.
So yeah, we do have a barcodes area inside the program. So we use the 1D barcodes for the products, and it's just per line item you can type in or use any kind of like line barcode, so like A, B, C, D, E kind of thing, and then you can save it. And then within the Word document itself, there are fields to pull in that information. Right here, so item barcodes, and then you can actually add another heading, and you can add that to the table. Was there other ones? Because I did see some stuff popping up.
Yes. So other ones from before were mostly when you're adding the custom fields, if you could add more than one custom field on printed docs. So
more than one custom field on printed. Yeah, for sure.
The screen only let you add 3.
Yeah. So actually, you can add all, depending on where you're adding it to, but from here, you can actually see we have 10 custom fields. So you can actually add all 10 to wherever you need it to pull from. Within the program itself, the custom fields. Sorry, that's wrong screen. The custom docs. So for something like sales orders, you can actually see we have 10 of them. Even though they're not all printed in the default ones, you can actually have it pull into the custom docs. So if you want to fill up all 10 and then have it show up in your documents, you can actually do that.
Perfect.
That answered the question.
Yes.
And if that is okay, let's move on. So instead of you watching me edit this whole thing, I've actually done one ahead of time. And I'm going to just show you that process of how you actually import it. So this one here, that little warning here just asks if they want the mail merge features to continue or not. So you can actually unmerge it and whatnot. But if you want it to work for the poll, you have to always say yes to actually merge it and to edit it anytime you go back in. So I made it so it says bill of lading. It still has that image showing up for the billing address, shipping address. And we have this information here is the company address that we've put in earlier. This here is actually a set field. So for custom docs, you actually put in the information and it'll just save as this. So if you actually change it in the program, it won't automatically change. You would have to update the custom doc to have this information update as well. If we go further down, you can see I've edited each section to show item, description, quantity, and the weight that we want. Total volumes just for like future things if we're like loading up other stuff in the future. And then you can actually set it where total volume, total weight, and total quantity. So this will just add up each field so you don't actually have to add it up yourself. And since we're doing pounds, I just wanted to show in pounds. And I actually added this footer in the actual custom docs itself, just so it'll show up. So yeah, once we save this one, since we already saved it, I can close out of it. In the import process is pretty simple. All you have to do is go from menu, options, print settings, and then you see a little custom docs tab here. And what we want to do is add new custom docs. And since this is going to be part of the sales docs section, we're going to do that here. You can browse the file that we created, and we did the dark side prep 2. And we can actually rename the document so we don't have to call like that. And then we'll do like bill of lading, and then we can save. And when I press OK, what it's going to do is it's going to take a screenshot of the document. Since this is a mail merge document from Word, the preview doesn't actually work. So what it does to fill in that preview section is it takes a picture of it. And you're going to see that in a second. So it's going to open up the Word doc really quickly and then takes a picture of it. It did it on my other screen, unfortunately, and it didn't really capture anything. But that's kind of the view you're going to get when you actually load up the previous screen. This doesn't mean it's not working. It just means that it's a custom doc and you're not going to be able to see much.
That's really important because I know a lot of people think it's not working. So just a note, a stressor, if anyone's going to try this out after, keep going.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so let's test it out. So what if you want to actually see a preview? What you can do is we'll choose the bill of lading custom doc. And then here, under beside the save as, there's a little drop down. You can actually open up the document in Word first. So the thing is, opening this custom document in Word, it takes a few more minutes because what it's doing is actually calling up the program to pull values we added in the custom doc. So the more fields you have, the longer it's going to take to pull the values. So you can see here, I do have a little bit of stuff that I'll have to edit to have all the information show up. But you can see that it's pulled the information that I wanted. I mean, the description we can just leave in there. It's not too big of a deal. The weights for every item that we set in there and the total weight. So I'm not sure if you guys remembered, the weight of the transport shuttle ship was 600,000 pounds, and this one here is 521. So we're good to go. Load the items on. So what we can do is from here, we can actually either close it or even just directly print from here. That's just basically a Word function. We can save it, don't save it, and that's for a specific order. Interestingly enough, how it sets the printer up is anything that you have in default will be set to the main printing method in your computer. So since I actually had my print to PDF set in my actual Windows computer, I'll show you quickly. Settings. I'm going to pull this up real quick. So I did this beforehand, but I actually made it so it defaulted printer to PDF. If I wanted to change it to one of my other printers, I can simply manage, set a new one to default, and then I'll have to re-import that file. So if I want to switch the printer out with custom docs, I go back to the print settings area, custom docs, and since I know I have the same document, I can just re-import it, and then we'll use that same one. And then just give it a minute. It's going to retake that picture. And then it looks like it's done. Nope, it's still working.
While we wait for that too, just one follow-up was on the QR code. She just needed one QR code for payment. So each invoice has the same QR code so that they can scan and pay.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. So with that, I guess you can make it your logo image, I suppose. That's the cheat, Simon?
Yeah, you can definitely put like, it's not really just the logo image, but you can actually put any kind of image in the document. So if I go back and open it.
One header image.
Yeah, so I will show you. Yes, I wanted to continue. So how I set this logo image in is I basically copied and pasted into the document. So if you have a picture of that QR code somewhere, we'll just drag in. Yeah. And then I'll just do a quick copy and paste Rooney. And you got that big Darth Vader. Scale it down.
Scary at all.
Hey, where do you go? Okay, there he is. You can actually set the image to, it's almost just playing with the image caption with the actual formatting of it. So if I want to like drag it to show in front of the text, so I can move it anywhere. It'll go right up to the top. So I can like, this can be like your QR code. So if you want it to be like at the top or at the bottom, you can totally do that. And then I'll show you, you can just save this again. And then go back into that re-import area.
So anytime you change your template, just make sure to go through this process again to re-import it.
Basically, I mean, you can create new ones to have a bigger list, but like, since I don't really worry too much about having that, I can just replace them. Depends how clean you want to keep this area. Cool. And it does take a minute to get in there.
And as it takes a minute, I will also say, Helen, we are coming out soon with the ability to pay, accept payment using inFlow. So I don't know how the QR system is working for you, but we are coming out soon. So you'll be able to send out an invoice and people can pay directly from that invoice with inFlow through the showroom feature. So stay tuned.
Yes. Yeah. So here's an example of where the Word app didn't actually open up correctly. So it just took a snapshot of what was on my other screen. It doesn't matter too much because it'll still pull the same information. But you can see the printer has now switched to my other printer. I can do the same way, open it up in Word, and then let's see what it pulls. Oh, that's not the right one. I'll close that one first. Okay. So yeah, I still didn't fix that, but that's okay. You can see little Darth Vader over here, and then it still pulled up the same information from the program. So you can see if this is a QR code, it'll just pull up the same QR code for every document.
Cool. Another question quickly from Mary, who also just gave us a huge boost to custom docs. I'm just going to read it out loud because she says, I use custom docs every day. It's worth taking time through them. Once they're set, they look great and you can customize to your heart's content. So thank you, Mary. We agree.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's insane, but once you get there, it's awesome. And she does have a follow-up question on if it's possible to create a custom work order. Phil just was too quick. He just answered it. Unfortunately, no. Custom docs are only for sales orders at the moment. But again, we will also note that down and pass that along.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
All right, so let's close that. So you guys did see that there's an actual print to PDF button. That is a little hack if you want to print these documents out as a PDF file. Most Windows computer actually come with the setting in your printer to actually just do print to PDF. So instead of having it save as a Word document and then transferring it over, if I have the document set to print to PDF, I can actually just use a print button and it'll do the merge and then conversion to PDF all in one. So just another little tip there for you guys. Yeah, so that's the major gist of what we know about custom docs. Let's see what else we can talk about. If you ever change your import docs, yep, we got all that. Okay, so I'm just gonna switch back over to our. I guess I can stop if there's any other questions. And
I'll read out. Phil's been great. He's been answering all the questions. I'll just read them out so our replay viewers know what's been said. But
okay.
Something advanced. Any way to make a sales report that compares each month so that you don't have to print out each month? Unfortunately, no, we don't have that option. Again, we'll record that as data because I can see that being totally useful. You can also take a look at the dashboard. It's not going to completely solve that, but the dashboard kind of does give you more of a monthly overview.
Mm-hmm.
So for Merlin, we're still going to look into, I just asked the team, Merlin, to look into tax amount and if that can be added onto the custom doc. So I've taken note of your email as well, so we'll follow up. So TBD for our listeners, if tax amount is part of the custom docs field. And I believe that catches us up on questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all your questions.
And we are pretty much at the hour. We do, Simon, I don't know if you've got like
one more section, and it'll be a pretty quick one.
Super quick.
Okay, so we're gonna just really quickly talk about just to complete the process. So now that Phil's gotten everything sent out, he wants to pull up a report to see what each platoon has. So I just want to show you guys how you can do that in inFlow. Since we remember that we set up everything in a sales report, what we want to show is, let's use sales by product details because that gives you line by line items. And what we can do is actually filter by. So if we want to actually only see it for a certain section, same thing with what we said earlier, just play with like the little drop downs and whatnot. It'll give you more filter options. You can see the renaming actually applies here as well. So we'll say platoon assignment, and then we'll pull up Tameem's platoon. We see this little more button. It'll give you more options to filter. And what I said earlier about having that custom field in the sales orders. So I'll quickly pull that up. So here, the job area will actually show up in the columns display. So you can actually have it show. So we want to see maybe the item. We'll just use one date, order number, and then we'll do like quantity sold amount. And we don't need the sales amount. And we can see the job area. And then you can actually generate the report. Oh, and these were just for fulfilled orders. And it'll just take a minute because it's just loading all the data.
And that's loading. It's just the last Hail Mary for anybody who wants to enter the contest to win a free month of cloud. Make sure that you've left some sort of chat today, and that's how you're entered. And Phil's taken note of that. So
yes.
Last moment for you.
All right. So things like if it says sales by product details, you can actually rename that to say something else, like stuff tunes have. And you can actually save the report here. And then if I update that, you'll see the new report title. And you can see it. And then since I saved it, it'll actually show up in the reports under my reports going forward. So anytime you need to pull up information about stuff the platoon has, you can just pull it up. It'll pull up everything that we've saved before. You can actually switch between platoons where you need to. And just a little quick down and dirty on how you filter the reports. Just a plug for our poor supply manager, Phil. He actually did a webinar on reports. So he goes into depth about that. If Tameem can just plug that old webinars, you can actually take a look at it. Phil did a great job, very professional, not like today. But yeah, he goes into details on how you can filter different reports and most common reports and stuff like that. Okay.
And we have a question about reports from Karina. Are you able to add sales reps on columns under customer order history report? I stay tuned for an answer. There's a lot of reports stuff that's possible, so we'll just check if that's possible for you.
Mm-hmm.
So this is customer order history. So you can see there where Simon is checking the filters. Once you go to the column section, that's essentially what you're able to add. Like as the system comes right now, looks like it's not in there, but we might be able to find a report that does have that information that you're looking for. Maybe not through that report, basically to have sales rep details, sounds like. So we'll get back to you in a minute on that as well. I'll take note of here.
All right.
Okay.
So yeah, we're coming in for the close. I know Tameem already is getting Phil to compose that list for our final draw. But before we do that, I did want to plug in our next webinar. It's going to be hosted by Matt in 2 weeks, and it's going to be about the smart scanners, everything about the smart scanners that we sell. We are actually giving away a free one, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Right at the end, saying it again, you're getting a free smart scanner if you stay till the end for one lucky winner.
It's an Android smartphone with a built-in scanner, so you can scan to your heart's desires and also make your calls, play Candy Crush, whatever you like to do. It's like over $500, so that's gonna be a pretty big giveaway. I've just linked the link to our webinar series page, so just make sure to sign up for the mobile one and obviously all the other ones too. We would love that.
Yeah,
for you guys. And then Phil's also responded to Karina about the sales report. So sales rep can only be added to sales by product details in the sales representative report. So there are some limitations with what you can add with reporting. Cool.
Okay, so while we wait for Phil to compose that list for the winner of today, Tameem has graciously promised to sing a song while we wait for the results to come out.
So Simon is joking, although I'm a great karaoke buddy because, shattered glass, let's just say.
I believe she can rock the Celine Dion song, My Heart Will Go On.
That is my go-to karaoke song. Does not go wrong at all. But since Simon was in the choir, before, he might be better suited to sing a song while we wait.
I was just doing bass, so all we had was bums and doos.
That's all. Yes. Okay. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. This is also a special shout out to Simon because we don't, like you said, we don't support a lot of this, especially the Word document mail merge stuff. As you can see, is quite complicated. So the fact that he took this webinar on is great because it's quite complicated. And yeah, like you said, we don't work in the world of Word. We're just trying to play nice with it. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. It was a lot of fun, and yeah, listening to myself talk for an hour is not. I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed it.
Well, we have some fans. They're loving this. We've got Nuria, who works on the team as well, but loving this. Danny shots fired, so they're adding fuel to the fire. The fuel is between us. So let's see. So we're just waiting for Phil. It's hard to know because he can't talk. Like we said, he can't defend himself, so we're not sure.
Made it easier to use him as our example today. Thank you, Phil.
Exactly. Yeah, so just stay tuned. Lori, thank you. Lots of info. Thanks, Lori. Drum roll. Oh, Phil's ready for a drum roll.
There it is.
Oh, Mary wants the force to be with us. Yes.
Love it, Mary. Thank you.
Okay, the drum roll, Phil. The random winner today is Mary.
Mary, congratulations. Woo.
Congrats. Sarah says, thanks, Sonny. It was great. Thanks, guys. May the force be with you. Awesome.
Love it. Everyone's Star Wars fans now.
Now we know.
Oh, We did forget to do the poll.
Oh yeah, sorry. While we're still here, we'll stay for a few extra minutes if anybody has questions. And Mary, we got a yay for Mary. She wanted
Yay, Mary.
awesome. Oh, the poll is not in here, so we have a technical glitch. But essentially, if there's anything anybody wants to hear about in our next webinar, please just type it in the chat box below. We have our mobile coming up. We have something about online showroom, which is exciting because we're going to be hopefully featuring our payment processing capabilities there, inFlow Pay, so you'll be able to accept payments. And then we'll also be working on doing a few webinars about, if you're in the retail industry, the best way to use inFlow, asset tracking, best way to use inFlow. So we're always loving more ideas, so please put them in there. Chris Martin, is Coldplay here? Is this Chris Martin from Coldplay? That'd be awesome. But he's been using it for years, learned some new things today, so thank you. Harris sent to private chat, but yes, we will be sending a recording of this video. So we'll send the email out to everybody with that link, and then it'll also actually be on our webinar series webpage. There will be the links to all of our replays there, and it's just on a simple YouTube link. Harris got in a bit late because of the wrong hour, so sorry. We actually will be trying to put our next few a little bit later in the day, so anybody on the West Coast will be able to join. We've got a big LOL from Chris Martin. I'm going to take it that it's not Coldplay, but that's okay. Cool to say Chris Martin was at our webinar either way. Awesome. And Deb, use the program internally for a school district with 19 locations. I love it.
Oh, wow. Nice.
Wow. You should learn how you manage all that, because that's tough. That's a lot. Cool. Much thanks to the entire inFlow support team. Thanks, David. Hope to catch you guys soon at the next one.
Thanks for coming in.
Chris Martin, keeping us on our toes. You never know, I guess.
Suspicious, Chris.
Great. Lori actually has a question as well. Is it possible to have the UPS tracking number or pro number on a shipment printed automatically on invoice?
If the UPS code is a 1D barcode, we can, maybe. We'll get back to you. We'll look into it for you, and then we'll email you out something.
Yeah, I'm gonna say now I don't think it's something we do right now, but it might be possible. It's undecided if it's a certain type of barcode. So I'm just taking note of it.
Anything's possible.
Yeah, that's that Star Wars spirit.
Star Wars spirit.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you guys have a good day. Got all your coffee down in that hour.
Yes. Oh, and happy Cinco de Mayo.
Oh.
For any celebration. Tough to celebrate in isolation, but I hope you guys all find a way. Okay. So I think we're just going to wrap this up. I don't see any other questions coming in. Sean, thank you for the info and love your webinars. Thanks, Sean.
We're trying.
So we will, see you guys again soon. We will be closing this out, and next week we will have our live Q&A, as Simon said, on Facebook Live, and the week after that will be the next webinar on our mobile, everything to do with mobile. All right. Okay. If anything at all, just feel free to reach out at support@inflowinventory.com, and hopefully we will see you guys all very soon. Thanks again. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to me. Bye.